What is life? It is a very complex question. Scriptures say it is a divine sport, Lila. The player, play, and the process of playing are all one single divine entity. That supreme is called Lalita Parameshvari. If this play is represented in the geometrical form, it becomes Shri Yantra or Shri Chakra. But it is very hard to comprehend. That is why our scripture presented it in the form of great epic, which is Lalitopakhyana. In Lalitopakhyana, the journey of a Jeevatma to the Paramatma is symbolically explained as a war between demon Bhaṇḍasura and the supreme Lalita Parameshvari. This huge epic is present in the Uttarakanda of Brahmanda Purana. Interestingly, Lalitopakhyana gives a Puranic background to the cult Sri Vidya. From this epic, Lalita Sahasranaama, Trishati and Sri Chakra Puja tradition emerged. Believe it or not, approximately 85 names of the Lalita Sahasranaama are directly derived from this story. In this series, we will take you through an extraordinary journey of complete story of Lalitopakhyana, the esoteric meaning and how it mirrors a seeker's own spiritual journey. And most importantly, you will see again and again how it all connects back to the Lalita Sahasranaama. Today, if we have the access to this sacred divine story, that's only because of sage Agastya. After attaining the highest bliss from his supreme austerities, he set out on a pilgrimage. On his way, what he saw completely shattered his heart. Just like us in today's world, everyone were living in ignorance and caught up in their bodily desires. He felt deep sorrow in his heart. Determined to find the solution, he went to Kanchi and performed intense penance on Parameswara and Kamakshi Devi. Moved by such selfless devotion, Lord Janardana appeared before him in his divine horse-faced form, Hayagriva. And here comes the Rahasya. Agastya worshipped Parameswara and Kamakshi Devi. But why did Lord Janardana appear in the form of Hayagriva? Hold on to this question for a moment. Let's answer it further. Agastya asked, "O Bhagavan, how can all beings truly come out of their suffering?" Then Hayagriva explained Agastya exactly how Lord Krishna explained to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. He said, "I am the Adipurusha. I am the prime cause of all living beings. I am the creator, the supreme Lord. I play as I wish. I am the essence of this creation and still I am beyond all." He said he has two forms. One is Purusha, second is Pradhana. One is Nirguṇa, second is Saguṇa. So that's the reason he categorized the path to liberation in two ways. The first is the path of renunciation and deep penance. But this path is not so easy and it's not suits everyone. Sadhak needs to sacrifice everything and go beyond his senses in the Dhyana Marga to understand the Purusha. But the second path is comparatively easy. This is the only way where Bhoga and Moksha both can be attained together. So what is this path? One who merges his Ichcha in the divine Ichcha of the Pradhana by understanding this life is a Lila can easily sport in the samsara and attain ultimate liberation. If you paid attention by now, we have found the answer for why Hayagriva appeared even though Agastya prayed to Parameshwari and Kamakshi. Because the Lord himself is everything. There is no two. Shiva is the Purusha, which is Nirguṇa. Kamakshi or Devi is the Pradhana, which is Saguṇa. Both are forms of the same Supreme Lord. Okay, Agastya was filled with joy and excitement because there is a way for everyone to attain liberation, even for Grihastha. So he began asking further about the forms of Devi. But instead of answering, Hayagriva directed him to a sage. Confusingly, that sage name is also Hayagriva. This is the Rahasya of Sri Vidya. It shows the importance of a guru. Agastya must become a disciple, not just a devotee, to receive this divine knowledge. So the entire story in the Lalitopakhyana is the conversation between sage Hayagriva and Agastya. Sage Hayagriva says there are three forms of Devi. The first form emerged from the deep meditation of Brahma when he needed the creative power to create this universe. She is called Prakriti. The second form is Mohini. This form emerged during the great Samudra Mathana, which is the foundational episode of all Sanatana scriptures. And we all know that Devas and Danavas joined together and churned the cosmic ocean. But why exactly this happened? Why they needed Amruta? What is the exact reason for Samudra Mathana? Let's hear a story. Long ago, the king of the Devas, Devendra, was ruling the land with full of abundance. He was worshipped by everyone across all the world. Okay, what happens when we get unlimited power and wealth without wisdom? Obviously, arrogance will take over us. Same happened to Devendra. It was not left unnoticed by Lord Shiva. So, Shiva thought, let me send Durvasa. You know, Durvasa was famous for one thing. That was his anger. So, it was enough even if he just visits. Durvasa set out his journey to the Devaloka, singing the glories of Mother Divine. On his way to Indraloka, an interesting thing happened. Durvasa met an Apsara. She was shining with divine glow, holding a mesmerizing garland. She told Durvasa that Devi gave the garland to her, pleased by her penance. You know, Durvasa was a great Srividya sadhaka. His heart was melted by hearing this is a garland from Devi herself. So he requested, can you give it to me? Without hesitation, she handed over the garland to him. So Durvasa was pleased. He blessed her and continued with the divine garland, singing as if no one was around. He was in a very good mood. As soon as he reached Devendra, he garlanded Indra. But Indra was already puffed up with his pride. He casually threw the garland on his Airavata. But the great elephant hurled it down on the ground and stepped on it and smashed that beautiful Devi's garland. By now, you already guessed what might happen. Durvasa was furious. Indra, your pride crossed all the limits. How dare you to insult this divine Devi's garland? I curse you. You will lose all your radiance, power, and wealth. Immediately, bad omens started to occur across Amaravati. Danavas started to conquer over Devas. Nityalakshmi, Vijayalakshmi left Indra weak and poor. There was no way left for Indra. So he approached his Guru Brihaspati seeking the reason for his fate. It is quite common that we forget our karmas, but the nature never forgets. It's a great accountant. So whatever happens in our life is a result of karma. It is not easy to understand the working of karma, but Brihaspati explained this phenomena with a beautiful anecdote. Long ago, there was a thief named Vajra in the rich city of Kanchi. Everyone in that city were leading a happy and prosperous life. Thief Vajra, on the other hand, used to use a very unique strategy. He would steal small portion of wealth from the houses, so no one would notice it. He would then hide them in the forest nearby. Thus, he accumulated a huge wealth. So when life was going like this, one day Kirata named Veeradatta saw him hiding it. Interestingly, he also used the same strategy. He silently took 1/10 of the stolen goods and went back to his home. He told happily to his wife Sheelavati. Look, honey, you were longing for money, right? I got this in the forest while I was looking for firewood. Sheelavati was overjoyed. You know what? A Brahmana told my fortune earlier. If I was born in the upper caste, I would be in the palace. She thought for a moment and said again, but he also warned, if we earn it with our own effort, then only it lasts. Everything else will go away with time. I think we should not use it for ourselves. Let's use it for charity. Veeradatta listened to his wife's advice. That made sense to him. He started the huge project of building wells and ponds for the welfare of his society. Whenever he needed more money, he just went back to the forest and brought 1/10 of the wealth from the Vajra. This way, he built wells and a beautiful tank. In the middle, he also built a beautiful Vishnu and Shiva temple. He then cleared the forest land and turned it into a wealthy agricultural land. Also built homes to stay near those fields. He did not stop here. He called the great Brahmanas and donated the land and homes. Brahmanas became very happy. For his charitable nature, they named Veeradatta as Dvijavarma. Like this, many years passed happily. One final day, Dvijavarma and his wives passed away together. At this point, story gets even more interesting. Dutas of Yama, Dutas of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara arrived. All of them wanted to take Dvijavarma and his wife to their realm. No one could decide where the couple belonged. Then came the Maharshi Narada to solve the matter. Whatever this Dvijavarma did was from the stolen money. So until thief Vajra and from whoever Vajra stole the money dies, Dvijavarma should wander without place and body. After hearing this, all Dutas went back. Narada continued turning to Sheelavati. You don't have any sins or dosha in this matter. In fact, all the punya karmas are because of you. With all these merits, you can go to Brahmaloka right now. But she was not okay to leave her husband like this. She wanted to stay with him wherever he was. So she asked for the solution. Narada was very much pleased. He told to perform Shatarudriya sadhana. He said, even the sins of Brahmahatya can be solved by performing this 1008 times. So Sheelavati diligently did the Anushtana with full devotion and discipline. Meanwhile, the actual thief Vajra and the owners of the stolen wealth all died. Lord Yama gathered everyone along with Dvijavarma and explained to them, you all have done various sins. Luckily, punya karmas are performed by your wealth as well. Now, which fruit would you like to enjoy first? They all chose to experience the fruits of punya karma first. So everyone went to Svargaloka. In Svarga, from the association of good people, Satsanga, they earned more and more punya. Hence, the weightage of punya remained to be higher than their papa karma. So Dvijavarma, along with his wife and friends and family, managed to reach the Kailasa. This story has many morals. First, it is very important whom we surround. Our circles determines our mindset. Also, as you observe, karma is interlinked. Vajra stole the money. Even though it was used for charity by Dvijavarma, Dvijavarma had to suffer. At the same time, because of Sheelavati's penance, Dvijavarma's charity, everyone got the Svargaloka. So, every karma, good or bad, however small it may be, it has an impact on others. Vice versa is also true. After hearing the entire story about karma from Brihaspati, Indra had only one question left. What bad karma did I do? Why this is happening to me? It is a typical question we ask. Our mind does not remember the mistake we did, but nature never forgets. So Brihaspati reminded Indra what exactly happened and how Durvasa's curse is linked to his past karma. Long ago, Kashyapa and Diti gave birth to a daughter named Rupavati. Rupavati was married to Dhatru. They gave birth to a radiant son named Vishwarupa. He was a great devotee of Mahavishnu and a great scholar of Vedangas. So Indra appointed him as a Raja Purohita before Brihaspati, while Danavas chose Shukracharya, son of Bhrigu, as their guru. So Vishwarupa was maternal son-in-law for Danavas, but he was very much neutral to both Devas and Danavas. During this period, because of this attitude, Danavas also grew equally strong to Devas. This irritated Indra. He thought he is silently helping Danavas. He doubted Vishwarupa's every move. Angry Indra killed Vishwarupa. You know he was a great devotee and Mahabrahmana. So Indra got Brahma Hatya dosha. Meanwhile, Dhatru, the father of Vishwarupa, got very angry. In sorrow, he cursed Indra to lose his power. This was very good opportunity for Danavas to overpower Indra. So they took over Amaravati. At this moment, Indra had only one refuge, Mahavishnu. So Lord Vishnu carefully divided these sins into three parts to save Indra and imposed them on woman, earth and tree. He also blessed them. Women have to face the menstrual cycle, but they can give birth in all seasons. The sin on the earth appears as a salty barren land where nothing grows. But because of the boom, earth will fill the places where it was dug. And in the trees, the effect of sin appears as a gum, which oozes out when a tree is injured. But on the other hand, the trees can grow again and again even if it is cut. This is how Lord solved the sin of Brahma Hatya. But Dhatru, he told him that my curse should not go unfruitful. Let it unfold over time. That means Lord Vishnu redirected the fruit of the sin, but he did not eliminate the fruit of the curse. It was yet to take place in the future. Meanwhile, Devendra got everything back. He grew proud and arrogant. That's why Shiva sent Durvasa. And now Durvasa also cursed. Because of both the curses, the radiance and power and abundance of Devas were gone again. No yajnas, penance and sacred rituals took place. Most importantly, Danavas have attacked and tortured the Devas in the all world. If we look at the story carefully, we can understand the accuracy of the nature and karmic account. The balance sheet must tally. Even the Lord Vishnu did not eliminate the fruit of Brahmatya dosha, but redirected or redistributed among someone else. Okay, but how can Indra escape from the curse now? The world was in crisis under Danavas, and as always, Devas turned to Lord Vishnu. Vishnu, the master of all master plans, had an extraordinary idea. He said, go make a deal with Danavas. Cast the great medical herbs into the milky ocean, Ksheerasagara, and churn it. This churning will produce the nectar of immortality. Only this nectar could restore Indra. But to churn the cosmic ocean, the power of the Devas was not enough. That is why they had to make a deal with Danavas by promising half of the outcome. But Kapatanataka Sutradhari Vishnu assured that he wouldn't allow Danavas to get their share. A strange alliance was formed. The churning began. And from the depths of that cosmic ocean, first thing emerged was Halahala, and Shiva took care of it. After that, extraordinary things started to emerge one by one. Varuni, Surabhi, the wish-fulfilling cow, the magnificent gem Kaustuba, also the radiant Mahalakshmi, and finally, great physician Dhanvantari rised from the water with a pot full of nectar. But Danavas, without a moment delay, they lunged for it. The Devas rushed forward as well. Both the sides erupted into a fierce battle. During this chaos, Vishnu silently prayed to Adiparashakti. By meditating on her, he assumed the form of breathtaking beauty, Mohini. This is the second form of Adiparashakti. This story is again and again proving how there is no difference between Ma and Mahavishnu. Mohini stepped forward with her attractive smile. Why are you fighting? What will weapon solve here? Let me share the nectar equally among you all. Spellbound by her beauty, everyone agreed. The Devas sat in one row and the Danavas in another. Mohini began to serve the nectar to the Devas while flirting with Danavas. But by that time, Danavas noticed the nectar was already running out on the Devas' side. They rose up in fury. But it was too late. Empowered by the nectar, Devas had grown strong. The equation had shifted completely. Devas crushed the Danavas. Defeated Danavas fled in all directions. Devas reclaimed their reign. This completes the explanation of second form of Devi by sage Hayagriva to sage Agastya. But since very long I had this question, why does Vishnu always support Devas and look down upon Danavas? Actually, neither Devas nor Danavas were good or bad. But the tendencies of Devas helped the nature to sustain. They also had all kind of afflictions, but they helped to run the show. On the other hand, Danavas were very much self-centered and cruel. This tendency will not help the Prakriti to expand or to sustain. Whatever hinders nature's growth, it will ruthlessly eliminate that. This is the core reason Vishnu as sustainer always took the side of Devas. The third form of Devi is Lalita Parameshvari. This is the highest form of Devi. But why did this form manifest? It all comes back to one name, Bhandasura. But who is he? This beautiful epic starts with the well-known story of Kamadahana. Most of us know this story very well. After losing Sati, Shiva went into deep sorrow. But to make Shiva fell in love with Ma Parvati again, Devas sent Kamadeva or Manmata. We already made full video on this story, please check it out. Disturbed by Kamadeva's arrow, Shiva opened his third eye and in that moment Kamadeva was reduced into ashes. Story doesn't end here. One of the Shiva's Ganas leader, Chitrakarma, witnessed this. He gathered the ashes and shaped it into a form carefully. Strangely, when Shiva glanced at it, in that instant, the figure came into life. Chitrakarma was overjoyed. He could not believe his eyes. He guided that boy born from ash to perform Shatarudriya to please Shiva. Pleased by his penance, Lord Shiva appeared and granted two boons. First one was, he will get half of the strength of his enemy in the war and no weapon can harm him. The second was, he will rule for 60,000 years. All these events were witnessed by Brahma from a distance. He just said, Bhanda, Bhanda, shame, shame. Because of this, he was called as Bhandasura. From the remaining ash of Manmata, two more beings took form, Viṣukra and Vishanga, who became Bhandasura's closest brothers. Bhandasura became the king of the Danavas, and with the Shukracharya's help, he gathered huge army. The divine architect Mayasura built him a magnificent city, Shonitapura, also called as Shunyakapattana. It was equally grand as Indra's own Amaravati. Surprisingly, every household in that city of Shunyakapattana, the Vedic rituals like Yajna, Yaga, Japa were performed regularly. Through this, Bhandasura's radiance grew multifold. Bhandasura drained the essential Ichcha Shakti from the three worlds. something quietly began to fade. Devas and other beings slowly lost their very will to live. As I said earlier, it is not just an epic. There are many rahasyas or hidden meanings. So let's understand what each character symbolizes. Everyone is searching for the happiness in the form of wealth, power, material comfort, and this search never ends. As I said, life is a Lila, a divine play. That is why Supreme is called Lalita. So everyone who participates caught in the illusion that this game is everything and real. But there comes a moment where that person becomes a seeker. He turns inwards. He arrives at the intellectual understanding that everything is temporary, the world is Maya. And so he begins to suppress his worldly desires. This state is explained symbolically as Kamadahana. But when desires are forcefully suppressed rather than truly transcending it, something goes wrong. A demon is born within, and that demon is Bhandasura. This is where the real danger begins. Bhandasura makes sure that seeker loses the very intention to act, to serve, to do good. This is the weakening of the Devas in the story. And in that hollowed state, the seeker is pulled into emptiness, Shunyakapattana, grand from outside, hollow within. Many seekers lost here begin to preach, gather followers, pretend the intellectual knowledge as wisdom itself. Similar to households of Shunyakapattana, these seekers also do grand rituals, also may get some worldly fame as well. But Bhandasura makes sure that sadhaka stays exactly here, comfortable in that magnificent emptiness, never moving forward. But how does seeker come out of Bhandasura? 60,000 years, the period Lord Shiva had blessed Bhandasura to rule. This passed like a brief moment. His unconditional supremacy was now over. But Devendra was still far too weak to challenge him. Lord Vishnu observed this and he acted his part. He created a Yoga Maya, an extraordinary beauty along with celestial Apsaras. Bhandasura fell completely into that illusion. His ministers too were swept away by the Apsaras. Consumed by the Maya, they abandoned everything, the ritual, the Vedas, the Yajnas and worship of Lord Shiva. Even when Shukracharya himself came to advise them, they turned him away with an insult. Since Bhandasura was lost, Devas could breathe again in peace. Indra resumed his reign until one day. Narada Maharshi came with a warning. O Devendra, right now Bhandasura is blinded by Vishnu's Maya. But the moment he breaks free, he will chase you with full power. There was only one way for Indra, to worship Adi Parashakti. No other power, no other penance could save him. Without delay, Devendra and all the Devas set out to the banks of Bhagirathi, near the forest of Himagiri. This place was later known as Indraprastha. They performed the japa and ritual prescribed by Narada. And this lasted for 10,000 years. On the other side, Shukracharya went to Bhandasura and shook him awake. My lord, you are the greatest king of the Danavas, but Mahavishnu has always been destroying Danavas. And this Maya is created by him. While you sleep here, the Devas are performing intense penance to Mahadevi. If she is pleased, victory will be theirs. Wake up, stop them. Bhandasura woke up. Immediately, he called his minister for an urgent meeting. His ministers told, more than 60,000 years have passed, but no need to worry. You will always win because you will get half the power of your enemy in any battle. Out of them, another said, even a weaker enemy must never be ignored. So Bhandasura marched out with his full army towards Himagiri. Moment when the Danavas approached, eager to break the Devas' penance, the mother of the universe stepped in. She created a blazing wall before them, impossible to cross. Bhandasura struck it with the Danavastra. Surprisingly, it got shattered, but rose up again. He struck again and again. Every time he destroyed it, it rebuilt itself. Exhausted and frustrated, Bhandasura turned back towards Shunyakapattana. Meanwhile, the Devas had seen Bhandasura's army approaching, and in panic they began to flee. Indra stopped them. There is nowhere to run. Even all of us together cannot defeat him. There is only one path. We must please the mother. And so Devas started a grand yajna and offered their own flesh of their hands and legs. Still, Devi did not appear. And so they made the final offering. One by one, they stepped into the fire themselves. Actually, this is how seeker who is lost in Shunyaka can overcome Bhandasura inside him. If that tendency to understand the Supreme wakes up, he will be protected by the Divine's grace. This will last up to some extent. But to attain the Supreme Consciousness, seeker needs to dissolve himself into pure consciousness. Basically, burning symbolizes the surrender of one's identity and merging their Icha to the Icha of Devi. Whenever any child gets into trouble, it always calls out for its mother. This is the universal truth. Same with the Devas too. With an extreme pain and helpless situation, they cried out for mother's help and sacrificed themselves into the sacred fire. From that emerged the Supreme Mother, Shri Maatha, Shri Maharagni, like the Empress of the universe. Chidagnikunda Sambhuta Deva Karya Samudhyata. She was born from the Chittagni to fulfill the Deva Karya, the noble deeds. Udhyadbhanu Sahasrabha. She was shining like 1,000 rising suns. She had 4 arms, Chaturbahu Samanvita. Raga Swarupa Pashadhya. She held a pasha on her upper left hand to attract the positive tendencies. Krodha Karankushojjvala. Devi holds an ankusha of Krodha on her upper right hand, which keeps the negative tendencies away. Manorupekshu Kodanda Panchatanmatra Sayaka. She holds the sugarcane bow of mind on her lower left hand with the 5 flower arrows of 5 sense objects, also called Tanmatras. The arrows that Devi draws by bending the sugarcane bow will only feel the sweet allure of life. This helps the seeker to come out of the dryness or the hollowness he was feeling. But Bhandasura had a huge army. On his sides are giant brothers Vishanga and Viṣukra, the chief of the army Kutilaksha, the 30 sons Bhandaputras, and the strongest and the cruel demon leaders like Kurunda, Durmada, Chanda, Vikrama, and many more commanders. And finally, the huge army of size, many Akshohinis. To counter such powerful foes, an equally fierce army is needed. So Lalita Devi manifested the vast and radiant Shakti Sena. Very interestingly, it was completely feminine army. From Devi's Ankusha emerged a radiant goddess Sampatkari. She was splendid in red, followed by mighty herds of elephants. And from the Pasha arose Ashwaruda, who took the command of an immense army of celestial horses. Devi created Dandanatha Devi, also called as Varahi, from her ego. She became the commander-in-chief, the fierce boar-headed goddess, and she led another vast division of force with unstoppable power, sitting on Kirichakra Ratha. Alongside all of them, countless other Shaktis emerged, like Bala Devi from her heart, Vigneshwara from her smile, Nakuleshwari from her cheeks, all set for victory march. A great and intense war was about to unfold. But what is this battle really? What do all these characters truly represent? And finally, what happens to Bhaṇḍasura? That is the story for next episode. We are Kathamandira, Temple of Puranic Stories.